Hello everyone and welcome to the northern Florida city of Jacksonville. Tonight, while the action and entertainment will be anything but silent, one thing remains consistent: the potential to see stars of the future performing for an audience tonight. Well, welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Yak Man, Ryan Yacovetti, calling your play-by-play action tonight for Art of Fighting 9 Apocalypse, something I dare not do by myself. So joining me, two very good friends and colleagues from the world of mixed martial arts. To my right, a very highly respected coach and instructor, jiu-jitsu practitioner, and pro fighter in his own right, Mr. Benjamin Glossop. And to my left, none other than the filthy one himself, UFC rising star and one of the most talented, entertaining fighters and broadcasters you will see in mixed martial arts, Mr. Tom Lawler. Gentlemen, tonight's card stacked, all about the numbers, a lot of big boys on the card, title on the line, another female fight that looks exciting. Your thoughts on what we're going to see tonight? Ben, we'll start with you.
Well, speaking of the numbers, we're looking at 5 heavyweight fights tonight. We're looking at fighters making their professional debut tonight, guys. They were hoping to be the stars of tomorrow. And we're looking at veterans in the sport from K1, from the WWE. And when the heavyweights get in there and bang, it's always exciting. And there's usually at least a couple really heavy-handed knockouts. And this night, with all these heavyweights, it's definitely going to be exciting.
You are here for the right time, people. Welcome once again, Art of Fighting 9 Apocalypse, coming at you right now. We are just getting ready for our first event starting out in the heavyweight division, who's a very, very scary-looking fighter with the name Smiley. He's 6'5", around 265 pounds. That is a large, large heavyweight. His opponent now making his entrance, Joe Johnson, his pro debut. Something that the viewer watching the fights may not pick up on is the weight differential.
14.8 pounds, representing UFS, the Ultimate Fighting School in Tampa. His debut fight tonight. Let's hear for Joe Puncher Johnson. Joe Johnson.
So there you have it, Joe Puncher Johnson.
Referee in charge, Mr. Chris Adams.
Pro debut. And again, you mentioned Johnson, 214 pounds. Even if the weigh-in number is slightly lower for Nick Smiley at 265, there is a large difference in weight between these men. Tom, how big of a difference does that play with cage work coming into effect if this fight stands up for a little bit?
It depends on the pace of the fight, where the fight goes. If they stay primarily on their feet, especially with a name like Puncher, Johnson.
I'm more concerned at all times with your safety. That's all I care about. I expect you to act like the professionals that you are. Touch gloves and let's do this.
As I was saying, Johnson will stand a better chance not carrying the weight of Smiley.
3 5-minute rounds. Joe Johnson's pro debut. He's in the white trunks, solid white with some red lettering. Nick Smiley, 1 and 2 in the black and white striped. He's the taller athlete.
Not touching gloves, guys. Coming out and both kind of trading the jab. There's, I know for the heavyweights, it looks like a small feeling out period, but definitely not wanting to shake hands to start this one.
Even though Joe Johnson's his pro debut, what are the odds that he has a boxing background somewhat? He's got that turn stance. He's shortening the width of the target.
I would say the odds are very high, especially with a nickname like Puncher.
Well, that was the other thing too, but you never know. Maybe he's a Muay Thai practitioner, but I mean clearly he's got a boxing kind of a stance. He's bouncing on his toes. The turn again. He's wide. The width of the target's being shortened. With a wrestler or someone who's shooting for a takedown, he's a lot more vulnerable, obviously, for a single leg. Where here he's not having to deal with that at this point.
He is using a lot of head movement, probably coming from a boxing background and not used to those kicks. And a big one delivered by Smiley.
Yeah, Smiley took him off his feet with that leg kick.
And I tell you, if you're not used to getting leg kicked, it only takes 1 or 2 because that's one of the most brutal things you can feel in a fight. And that was a really good technical kick. He's going to have to start checking or changing his stance if he gets hit with a couple more of those.
Oh, he tries another one, and Johnson, wise to it, catches the kick and turns it into somewhat of a takedown. Now working from the closed guard of Smiley. We see if Smiley has a ground game.
Smiley's covering up pretty well, not eating a lot of those shots, although Johnson is throwing a lot and starting to connect a little bit more.
Yeah, he's getting that left hand around the outside of the closed guard on the back there of Smiley. Back on their feet now.
Smiley may be rocked from some of the punches that he ate on the ground.
He looks a little cautious. He doesn't look wobbled.
You know, sometimes you don't see a lot of patience in heavyweights, and these guys are both throwing, you know, strong, heavy hands and good techniques and kicks, but they're being really methodical in their fight. I like seeing this.
Yeah, that is one of the unwritten things we're seeing right here. Oh, big left hand by Smiley. And then down goes Smiley.
Landed the knee on the chin and then fell over. I'm surprised to see the puncher backpedaling quite that much without turning the corner to circle out.
I think he's having a little trouble with the range of Nick Smiley too, right, Tom? You see that he's throwing like one jab, like almost pushing it, and then he steps back, straight back.
He's not using a lot of angles, and he's not throwing a lot of combinations. It's mostly been one punch by both guys. Smiley went ahead and connected there with a big punch and then rushed in. Not a true combination, but you know, effective nonetheless.
People on the outside might not realize it. You know, you think, oh, you run out of gas because you just go crazy during a fight. But this is the kind of thing, too, this type of fight that's really allowing the fighters to see who can have the most stamina, because they might not be throwing a lot of combinations, but they're getting hit hard enough, and there is a little bit of ground play in here. Stamina is going to play a factor if it keeps on this way.
You may think that the heavier heavyweight Smiley would be the guy who's maybe not in the best shape because of the weight differential so much. He's like close to 50 pounds larger, but neither guy looks or appears to be out of shape at all. It's just a size difference.
Sure.
And the size really won't come into play a huge amount as long as Johnson stays on top. He won't be carrying the weight of Smiley. Now, if Smiley's able to reverse him, get a sweep from here, and get on top, that's when you'll see the weight come into play.
And that's an excellent point, too, because when you're training at your home gym, sometimes you're the biggest guy, and you're not used to having other really heavy people like yourself laying on you. And unfortunately, you get into the mix in your fight, whether it's a pro debut or experience, and then you're like, oh, my gosh, this is a heaviness I haven't felt before. And that might play into factor with both of these guys. Even though the hardcore gym, we know there are heavyweights there, but with Joe Johnson, we're not sure how deep his camp runs. And as Tom said, if it gets reversed, he may feel something he's never felt before. Good stand-up, I think.
Yeah, clearly Johnson was limited. He was only getting so much work done at that point before they got stood up. And Smiley's guard, not very active. He wasn't doing much. You didn't see him trying to set anything up or even sweep.
Seems as if both guys are content to make this a stand-up fight.
Once again, this is the first round. Joe Johnson in the white with red, I guess it is Asian lettering. Sitting on the back.
The Hayabusa shorts.
Yeah.
Hayabusa shorts. Yes, and the big right hand's being delivered by the taller fighter,
Oh, he's
Nick
rocked.
Smiley, and Johnson is rocked. Smiley looking to erase a childhood memory here with those shots. That is it.
The puncher has been punched out.
Nick Smiley goes to 2 wins with 2 losses. He balances out his record with some really nice precision punching right there. He smelled and saw blood that he caused, and he closed the show. That's a finisher.
The evident difference there was Smiley had his hands high the whole time, and Johnson was kind of keeping his hands a little bit low the whole time, and he was just subject to those punches, and they worked out for Smiley. He read, like you said, Ron, he used the range. He had a good focus, and it was great target practice. It was really, really well-executed fight on Smiley's part.
Tom, I defer to you now. Somebody not too long ago said that we might see knockouts with 5 heavyweights on the card. Could be Ben Glossop sitting to my left. Nostra Glossop predicts the knockouts, and indeed one comes in the first fight in the opening round just before the close of the round.
Well, at the last Art of Fighting card, we had 6, 7 fights end by rear naked choke.
That's
Perhaps
right.
this is setting the tone for this evening, and we'll have 6 or 7 fights end by knockout.